Good afternoon. I'm really glad that you're here today. Appreciate it very much. So I'm joined today by Roger Morton, Director of Transportation Services, and John Nouchi, our Deputy Director of Transportation Services. And we have two very special guests here today, Ray Tellis, who is the Regional Administrator from the FTA, and Amy Chengchong. Did I get that right? Chengchong? From the Deputy Regional Administrator. Before I bring Roger up, because this is really his moment to speak, and by the way, Ben Sullivan, who's our new Deputy Director of our Office of Climate Change and Resilience, if you haven't met Ben already. And Pat Press is in the back over there. And anyway, okay. Look, this is a big week for us, and we're very excited. This is a culmination of, at least since I've been in office now, nearly 2.5 years to the date, of a lot of work on a rail project, but that's not what today's press conference is about, but we're very excited about it. But adding to that momentum, I'm going to defer to Roger to share with you what's happened here in a very positive way. We're very excited for our city because all of what we're going to talk about moves us forward into the 21st century. And I think the responsibility we have and what we've come in here, even as a team, talking about what we had to get done was to help, even though nobody ever talked about it before, from the standpoint of what it took to become mayor, is really, quite honestly, modernizing our city and making it a great place to live and providing services and opportunities for people. So I don't think I could talk about a better transportation guy than our own Roger Morton. So I'm going to bring him up here and this is his show today. Thank you.
Well, we're very pleased to have our federal partners here as well. Because I believe yesterday it was announced by the Department of Transportation, by the Federal Transit Administration, that we had been awarded a low-no emissions bus grant in the amount of $20 million, which is a large number no matter how you look at it. And that will enable our city to continue its electrification of our public transportation fleet, our buses, ultimately our handy vans. Now, we also have, we have a plan, a citywide plan for all vehicles. Buses just happen to be probably the biggest component of all of those public work vehicles. But this will enable us to acquire additional electric vehicles that go along with the 17 electric vehicles that we already have. We're looking to do a multi-year procurement soon in the next beginning of this next fiscal year, so that we can start it. This grant will also allow us to continue our development of electric charging infrastructure. Specifically, this grant, we already have funding that will allow us to put in charging facilities at our Alapai Transit Center, just over here, just behind us a little bit. But this grant will allow us to start putting in charging facilities at our Pearl City facility as well. In addition to the buses and the infrastructure, this grant will also allow us to develop a training program, a human resource development program, as we begin to transition our skilled force of technicians. When you think about it, if we go 12, 15 years into the future, we won't be having any diesel buses anymore. And so we're going to start a training program to start to transition ourselves, our processes, our workforce into dealing with this new technology. It is just something I'd like to also ask my colleague from San Francisco, Mr. Ray Tellis, the Regional Administrator for the Federal Transit Administration, to come up and just say some remarks. I will be happy to answer remarks at the end of the press conference, but I'll be a lone ranger on that, because I think our federal partners aren't allowed to answer questions as freely in a press conference as us local guys are. So with that proviso, can I ask Ray to come up and just say some words?
Thank you, Roger. Certainly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Always a privilege to be here in your presence, and I want to recognize our Deputy Regional Administrator, Amy Chang-Chen. So good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the FTA Administrator in Washington, D.C., Nuria Fernandez, I am pleased to join you to speak briefly about this grant award and what it means to the City and County of Honolulu, the Department of Transportation Services, and the system you know as the bus, that runs on your streets here in Honolulu. So certainly she extends congratulations as you receive this $20 million to undertake an ambitious effort, leading amongst your peers the need to transition your fleet to a greener and zero emissions vehicle fleet. So that is ambitious and recognized in itself. So as Roger, you mentioned, you will receive $20 million. This was announced yesterday. You will purchase 7 electric buses, I understand, and the infrastructure at your Pearl City Bus Depot. So our support, we feel, is critical, right, to the helping the local city leaders in their goal to fully convert the bus fleet to zero emissions by 2040. That is where the ambitious aspect of this goal comes into play. It's not an easy challenge, but it's something you are gearing up to do, and this award is going to certainly help you. You talked about the workforce development, and that is certainly just as important, that you launch a comprehensive working training opportunity supported by a technical program. As you said, you're not going to need diesel mechanics in the future. You're going to need mechanics trained in electrification, in managing electric fleet. And this is where the transit workers are going to help all of us get to where we want to go as they come along for the ride, right? So that's what we want to talk about. And it's going to bring you a workforce of the future with high-tech workers contributing to maintaining a fleet that is high-tech. Most importantly, that is green. So I want to applaud you, Director Roger Morton, for taking on with your team, John and others, to implement the leadership that the mayor brings to this city with a cleaner fleet. As you alluded to, we started this program prior to the President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law with $100 million. Last year, we awarded $1.6 billion. That's with a B. This year, we awarded $1.7 billion to cities like Honolulu, where we're going to do and buy across this country. Last year, 1,700 buses. This year, same amount of buses, 1,100 of them clean buses, electric buses, clean fleets, green fleets, zero emissions. So I think that is so important as you implement to bring cleaner systems, cleaner transportation with the other things you're doing. I won't mention Friday because I'm here for this event. Certainly we are proud what you've done. The President is gearing up as we go into Infrastructure Week to continue to build and help you build these kind of systems, these kind of charging infrastructures, these kind of facilities, these kind of buses. And so it helps meet his goal that is set for zero emissions by 2050. So in that context, certainly Amy and I are pleased to be here with you as you implement these brand new buses and you run them, cleaner buses, greener buses, and a bus fleet of the future. Congratulations. My privilege to be with all of you here this afternoon. Kudos to both of you. Thank you.
I probably should have said this at the introduction, but I would tell you, at first glance, when you hear that you're going to work with Washington, D.C. and the FTA, and you're new to it, as I was a couple of years ago, it sounds pretty ominous in a way. But getting to know Ray Tellis and seeing how vested he was in the city of Honolulu and what he brought to it, and how knowledgeable he was along the way as we would check in with him periodically on what we're doing with the rail, and even when we visited Washington, and then even in something like this, it's very consoling, because what we wanted to be able to do is be able to leverage federal dollars, wanted to be able to be in a position to, use that resource to help us, and he's been nothing but a champion for us. So Ray, I thank you for your leadership and your caring and your capability, because you've really helped us a great deal. Thank you. And Amy, I look forward to getting to know you too.